Hello, good evening. It's day number 29 in the month of December 2024. It's the last Sunday of the month and indeed the last Sunday of the year. And we're glad to invite you and welcome you to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and our sponsors are the Ghana Revenue Authority, Well PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Fisheries Insurance. Remember, we are going to be streaming live on our social media pages tonight, and we're going to be doing so on Facebook at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we'll be streaming live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we're going to be live at Eye on Port. Now, what we're going to be doing is that we shall be interacting with you, and all you have to do is sit back, relax, grab your phones, and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538 0538 037353. 0538-037353. When the time is ripe and we pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. Remember, our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all the transpired in the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we will continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefi. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm. sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry during the week. And indeed, tonight, we have some beautiful stories for you from the port of Takoradi, where the director of port for that port has been touting some achievements achieved in the year 2024. Plus the fact that, yes, they're expecting the year 2025 to pose even a stronger performance than the year 2024. We also have a story in which the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority also held its end-of-year Thanksgiving service. These and more for your enjoyment.
The management, staff, and stakeholders of the Port of Takoradi have made significant strides in positioning the port as a leading logistics hub for maritime trade and services in Ghana and the sub-region. The year 2024 marked the completion of major infrastructural projects which contributed to a substantial increase in cargo volumes. According to the Director of Port, Peter Amobediakon, by November 2024, the Port of Takoradi had handled 9.4 million metric tons of cargo compared to 7.1 million metric tons in November 2023, representing an impressive growth of 32.8%.
But what is significant is that more than 70% of these import volumes is attributed to clinker and gypsum, which together accounted for a total of 2,072,000 metric tons as at the end of November, compared to just 1.7. So, clinker and gypsum, we have established ourselves as the port in the sub-region to handle dry bulk cargo. And this is a testament to the investment that we have made.
Speaking at a stakeholder get-together held at the Port Auditorium ahead of the Christmas festivities, the director expressed optimism about further growth, noting that cargo volumes could increase even more by the end of the year.
Cargo volumes have gone up. Why? Because the sizes of the vessel, especially for manganese and bauxite, have now increased. Previously, we used to handle 180 to about 220 LOA. Now they bring in maximum 300-meter vessels. So the vessels that were previously calling, that would have called twice or thrice in a month. Now one vessel comes and it takes that same amount of cargo and it goes.
The director attributed the success to the collective effort of management, employees, and stakeholders who worked tirelessly throughout the year. He also provided updates on ongoing projects, including those expected to be completed in 2025.
We did our research and found out that the whole of Western region and Central region, we do not have MRI to help in the effective diagnosis of illnesses of the people in the region. GPHA has decided to buy an MRI and use the bottom of the pyramid approach to be able to enhance quality health service delivery to the metropolis.
He assured stakeholders that these developments will further solidify the Port of Takoradi's status as a key player in Ghana's economic growth. In a related development, the Director of Port, Peter Amobediakon, highlighted the remarkable achievements of the Port of Takoradi during a media session with local journalists. The soirée provided an opportunity to reflect on key milestones and ongoing progress at the port. The Director of Port highlighted the unprecedented hosting of a cruise ship at the Elmina Fishing Port, a business unit under the Port of Takoradi management.
For the first time in Ghana's history, a cruise vessel anchored at the anchorage of Elmina Port, and they used Zodiacs to bring in if my memory serves me right, over 200 tourist vessels to tour the tourist attractions in Cape Coast and Amina. It has never happened before. And this was through the collaborative efforts of all agencies, especially the security agencies.
He also noted that in the last quarter of 2024 alone, the port handled 50,000 tons of transit cargo, marking a significant recovery from the declining figures seen since 2009.
Since 2009, we have never handled any significant transit cargo, and especially that of the big bulk, i.e. the back cargo to the landlocked countries of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso. Through the collaborative efforts, we were able to bring the vessel into the port, bringing in rice of 50,000 metric tons.
The director emphasized the vital role of the media in shaping a positive narrative for Ghana's maritime trade, which he described as having vast untapped potential. He urged journalists to continue advocating for the sector's growth and progress.
The Tema collection of the Custom Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has crowned the year 2024 with an end-of-year Thanksgiving service held at the Customs Long Room in the port of Tema. The ceremony brought together management and staff to reflect on the year and express gratitude to God for his guidance and blessings. The event was marked by heartfelt worship and fervent prayers, offering gratitude to God and seeking his continued blessing and guidance for the year ahead. Sector Commander Assistant Commissioner Christiana Odi Ej commended the team's effort in exceeding the revenue target despite challenges faced during the year.
As a revenue collecting organization, our year began with a target that seemed unsurmountable, but we made it. Let's applaud ourselves.
Guest preacher, Very Reverend Helena Opoku Sakode, in her sermon emphasized the importance of gratitude to God in all circumstances, inspiring the gathering to remain hopeful for the coming year.
And so even as we bring the year to an end, even as we gather to express our gratitude for a faithful year, I want you to go home remembering all the things that we have enjoyed from day 1, January 1st, up to now. In 4 days, 2024 will come to an end. So if we didn't start well, may God help us to finish well.
All right, so those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the week. We are now going for some international port and shipping news.
Switzerland-based Mediterranean Shipping Company has placed an order for 10 eco-friendly 24,000 TEU LNG dual-fuel vessels at Hengli Heavy Industries in China, slated for delivery between 2028 and 2030. This follows a similar order of 21,000 TEU vessels earlier this year. The expansion aligns with MSC's decarbonization efforts and strategy to replace aging ships while maintaining its global dominance. Currently, MSC operates 880 vessels and has 131 ships on order, representing over 2 million TEU capacity. The container shipping sector continues to see a surge in dual-fuel vessel orders, with 2024 setting a record for new container ship deliveries. Tensions escalate as Houthi-controlled Yemen, the last active member of the Iranian-led Axis of Resistance, continues attack on shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, as well as strikes on Israel. These actions have drawn warnings of severe retaliation from Israel, including targeting Houthi leadership, supply chains, and allies. The Harry S. Truman Carrier Strike Group and the French aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle are now in the region, bolstering defense and preparing for potential counterattacks. The continued Houthi aggression risks disrupting maritime traffic through the critical Suez Canal, with backdoor diplomacy offering the only alternative to a likely post-Christmas military response.
All right, welcome back. So we are now going for the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies and jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is canal. Canal.
A canal is a human-made waterway that allows boats and ships to pass from one body of water to another. Canals are also used to transport water for irrigation and other human uses. While the advent of more efficient forms of transportation has reduced the need for canals, they still play a vital role as conduit for transportation and fostering global commerce.
All right, now on to our health and safety tip for the week. And this week we are taking a look at how to take regular breaks. How to take regular breaks.
Take regular breaks. It's important that you always take your regular breaks. The more tired you are, the less aware you are of your surroundings and the more at risk you are for an injury. Take the breaks you are giving on a regular schedule to keep yourself fresh and try to schedule your more difficult task for the beginning of your shift when you are most alert.
All right, so welcome back. We are now going to go into our program proper tonight. And tonight we have a twofold program. The first one, twofold discussion segments. And the first one has to do with the chronology of all the major events that has taken place in the maritime industry in the year 2024, starting from January through to December 2024. Now, when we're done with that, we've had a series of discussions with respect to the fisheries sector this year. And tonight we're going to crown the year with that particular discussion with Mr. Ristani Ama-Amafio. Please do stay and enjoy the chronology of events, major events, so to speak, that took place in the year 2024.
The year began in January with notable achievements as the Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at the time, Alhaji Seidu Idrisu Idisa, announced that the GRA achieved its 2023 national revenue target of 109 billion Ghana cedis. Although customs fell short by 1.2 billion cedis, this performance was deemed impressive amidst a challenging economic climate marked by reduced import volumes. January also witnessed the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority ramping up recruitment and training efforts to strengthen the manpower of its security and fire departments, providing significant employment opportunities at the Tema and Takoradi ports. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders inaugurated its newly elected National Executive Council in the same month. Stephen Ajokache assumed the presidency, supported by Alex Esiama, Regina Boateng and John Edujak as first vice president, second vice president and treasurer respectively. In a historic feat, January also saw the port of Tema welcome its first 13,000-plus TEU container ship, Maersk Eden, at the MPS Terminal 3. This marks the launch of the new express service, positioning Tema as the first port of call in West Africa for the Far East-West Africa route.
Well, it means a lot. First of all, his logistics chain becomes all of a sudden shorter, which means lesser outlay of money in terms of products at sea, for it to come to him in good time for production over here. Secondly, the cost of the freight is bound to go down because we are the first port of call. So the freight that they have, or the containers, they burn less fuel and energy and time, on board the ship. So it will be marginally less than any other port. So that creates more opportunity for us. And normally industries they prefer to set up shop. You know, where is good connectivity and where is good transit time? And we are just putting ourselves on the map to be, you know, offering such opportunity for industrial. And as you can see on the cranes on board the ship, you know, we have deployed 8 cranes on board the ship. You know, not many ports in West Africa, they have 8 cranes, let alone to be able to deploy 8 cranes on one ship. So the infrastructure that we have built over here is capable of taking such size vessel and even bigger. You know, we have the draft, and we are connected directly to the Atlantic Ocean, so we have no restrictions of tide or navigation through a river or a creek. You know, ship just enters straight from the Atlantic Ocean into the harbor basin.
February saw the release of the time release study by the Customs Division of GRA. The initiative aimed at assessing and improving the average clearance time for goods at Ghana's port, with the ultimate goal of eliminating bottlenecks and enhancing trade facilitation.
We measured the average time. We measured the minimum time.
Yes.
We measured the maximum time within what we have sampled for study.
Yes.
So again, before we didn't have any baseline to actually determine that this is what we are doing. These are the improvements that have come as a result of initiatives.
Yeah.
Now, this we are having. But if you look at the detailed report, there are cases where goods have been cleared we have at the port of the Kotoka International Airport, we have cases where goods have been cleared within less than an hour. Less than an hour. So these things are possible. So what we want to leverage on those reasons for which these goods have been cleared early enough.
Right.
These are what we have identified and put in the recommendations for implementation. So we are actually doing some level of clearance very early, but then the majority of the cases we are not.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority embarked on a week-long sensitization roadshow in February to promote awareness of its occupational health, safety and environment policies among staff and stakeholders in Tema and Takoradi. This effort was geared towards fostering a safer, more compliant workplace. The month of March was a busy one. The Grimaldi Group honored the port of Tema by naming one of its largest GS-class Ro-Ro multi-purpose vessels after it. The Ghana Armed Forces also embarked on a maritime expedition to the geographic center of the world, showcasing Ghana's strategic maritime significance. The same month, the floating university and cruise ship MV World Odyssey docked at Ghana's ports with nearly 500 students from around the globe. GPHA also rolled out the Maritime Single Window Program, a digital platform designed to streamline vessel clearance processes by integrating regulatory and shipping line activities. Cargo traffic figures for 2023 were highlighted in March, with Ghana's ports handling 26 million tons of cargo despite economic challenges. The port of Tema handled 18 million tons, while Takoradi handled 8 million tons, showing improvement over the previous year.
Well, General, I would say we fared quite well, despite the challenges globally. Right. The first half of last year was really scary. Our ports were just dry. We had to do a whole lot of engagement with stakeholders, at least to get to know what is happening and what they were thinking.
Right.
Fortunately for us, when we started the second half, at least traffic rebounded.
Right.
And we ended the year at least not too far away from our performance for 2022. And I think that the 2023 as well, even whilst that was going on, we did not relent in our efforts to try and equip. And fortunately for us, our finances also permitted us to acquire a couple of equipments.
Right.
And also, of course, all the other expansion programs that we've been doing in the ports of Tema and Takoradi. So I think on the whole, I would say, though we would have wished we did better in 2023, but on the whole, it was a very good year for us.
Veteran maritime law consultant and legal practitioner Dr. Emmanuel Kofimbia also forecasted a steady maritime trade growth of 2% to 2.4% on the 2023 figures by the end of 2024.
If you look at the projections, therefore, while we are positive, and as I said, if you take Clarkson, Clyde and Co., etc., for them, they are cautiously optimistic. Okay. Going forward, I think that because we have come out of a pandemic, we have come up in 2022, 2023, there is likely by the end of 2024 for us to see an improvement.
Right.
So an increase of about 2%.
Right.
You know, for 2024 is a likely figure.
Okay.
April was marked by the visit of the Italian President Sergio Mattarella, who toured the port of Tema, and the Italian naval ship Commandant Betica, which had berthed at the port. That month, Customs debunked rumors of Ghana losing transit cargo to neighboring countries, emphasizing its competitive edge in transit trade.
For 2023, the tonnage was 308 million metric tons.
Wow, 308 million.
Million metric tons for that short period I mentioned.
Wow.
Yes. Then I checked for the same period for this year.
Yes.
And that is 444 million metric tons for transit cargo through the port.
Wow.
And the difference is about 136,000 metric tons. So there's an increase.
Okay, so it means that it's not true. When people,
from the data.
You know, people speculate and bandy about that we are losing.
Exactly. Like I was saying, initially I joined the chorus that way, but after my checks, because I have access to data, then I realized that, oh no, so I can't go and stand somewhere and speak that way anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's an increase rather.
GPHA commissioned 4 new marine crafts in April, named after prominent individuals who contributed to the organization and the sector's development. The same month, the Elmina Fishing Hub welcomed its first cruise vessel, the SH Vega, setting the stage for the harbour's economic potential in tourism. May saw the Ghana Export Promotion Authority-GPHA expressing optimism about achieving its $25 billion export revenue target by 2029, following a strong $3.9 billion performance in 2023.
You know, there is a target to meet.
Okay.
And there's a target to reach. And that target is a 25.3 billion US dollars.
Okay.
And that target stems from the National Export Development Strategy. You see, and this strategy was launched in the year 2020. And it's a 10-year strategy, meaning that by 2029, it has to expire. And by the 2029, we need to have this 25.3 billion USD. Now, as at the time, the 2020, when this document was launched, we had a total NTE of, I think, about 2.8.
Okay.
2.8 billion.
Okay.
Now, so if you look at being at 2.8 billion
in 2020,
yeah, and we are talking about moving from 2.8 all the way to 25.3 billion. I mean, it's
unrealistic.
That's not that it's not. It is very, very much realistic.
Really?
But it means we need to work extremely hard.
AMSOL Group further strengthened Ghana's marine fuel operations by christening the bunker tanker Denso River at the port of Tema. In June, the Kota Tema, a newly constructed 7,000 TEU container vessel, made its maiden call to the port of Tema. June also saw MPS introduce a cutting-edge equipment simulator at Terminal 3. This state-of-the-art tool was designed to refine the skills and competencies of operators, ensuring they meet the highest standards of efficiency and safety in port operations. Later in the month, the port of Tema saw the arrival of a Norwegian fisheries research vessel, which completed a 30-day survey in Ghanaian waters to provide critical data for fisheries management. By mid-year, alarming reports emerged about the devastation of 2/3 of Ghana's coastline due to increasing erosion. The Ghana Hydrological Authority called for urgent measures to mitigate this critical challenge, which threatens both coastal livelihoods and infrastructure. The Executive Director of the Center for International Maritime Affairs, Ghana, Mr. Albert Derrick Fiatui, made strong recommendations for immediate intervention.
The devastation is quite serious. It has affected a lot of holiday resorts along the stretch, personal properties, buildings, and actually increased sea line recession. That's our land being lost to the sea.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a major challenge in this area.
We have mangroves there, but it has become what the community people depend on. They cut these mangroves as firewoods for sale.
Ignorantly?
Ignorantly, yes, ignorantly. So there is the need for a lot of education to be done, and also livelihood empowerment. They have depended on this for a very long time. And we think that education will have to be carried out for them to understand that the mangrove there is rather protecting them from the devastation. So it should not be seen as an economic activity where they cut it for firewood. If at all there is anything that should be done to make money, it should be planting of more mangroves, for which maybe they are paid. You know, mostly when you talk about it, it looks weird or minor, because you ask yourself, how can you go and protect the coastal environment with just mangroves, with all these tidal wave distractions? But scientifically, it has proven to be one of the greatest ways of protecting the environment. And we think that we should encourage the planting of that across board.
July brought environmental awareness to the forefront, with MPS planting 1,002 trees as part of the Green Ghana initiative, exceeding its previous year's efforts. In Sekondi, Takoradi, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority partnered the Ahantaman Girls Senior High School to promote environmental consciousness by helping students plant trees within the environs of the school. A 14 million cold storage facility was also inaugurated in Tema, enhancing fish preservation capabilities. August marked the implementation of Ghana's cabotage law, which mandates local employment quotas for officers and crew on vessels operating in Ghanaian waters.
Is to make the local trade the preserve of Ghanaians, the indigenous, so 75% of ratings, and then also 50% of officers within on the vessels are supposed to go to Ghanaians. And this is to ensure that we have a fair share of job opportunities within the industry. We are doing it both with the merchant and then the fishing vessels as well.
September was also very eventful. The Lagos Hope, the world's largest floating book fair, returned to the port of Ghana, drawing thousands of visitors, including the President of Ghana. That month also saw the commissioning of the $50 million Jamestown Fishing Harbour, a transformative project aimed at revitalizing Ghana's artisanal fishing industry. The African Bitumen Terminal and Production Plant by Go Bitumen, a subsidiary of GOIL and SMB of La Côte d'Ivoire, was also commissioned by the President in September, giving hope for Ghana's ambition to have a reliable and steady supply of bitumen for the nation's road network construction. Construction of an administration block for the Port of Keta project began this year ahead of further investment into the construction of the main port. As the country's ocean resources continue to dissipate at an alarming rate due to irresponsible human activities, the conversation around Ghana's fisheries management regained momentum. Experts turned to the Iron Port platform, urging all stakeholders to dedicate efforts to science to redeem the sector from the quagmire it has placed itself in and to redirect Ghana towards a sustainable path.
What we have not been able to do properly is the collaborative research aspect of it. That how do we work together as industry regulator and academia and research to be able to do a proper research as to what is it that we needed to do in order that when the regulator is setting the regulation, it's in conformity with research, and so nobody just writes law in abstract.
In other developments, stakeholders in Ghana's budding cruise sector intensified calls for some significant capital injection into the creation of a cruise terminal in Ghana. In addition to this, they called for responsible authorities to adopt a deliberate cruise tourism strategy that streamlines the processes of all agencies and stakeholders in holistic fashion to derive the full benefits of the rapidly growing global cruise industry.
You could have much more by having a Pan-African approach. By virtue of position of Senegal, Gambia, and Cape Verde in the Mid-Atlantic, in terms of cruise ship position, or should I say market, they call it the Mid-Atlantic. We are Southwest Atlantic. So Mid-Atlantic has Cape Verde, the Canary Islands, Senegal, Gambia. Now, they usually touch a tip of these of West Africa and then go down. It's cheaper for them to just cut across and go down. But if we're able to show them that there's more to see in West Africa, it's going to cost them maybe 10% more to divert this way. And so I believe that we should look at how maybe using both Ghana Ports and Harbours authorities, so I think you might have an ECOWAS commission for ports, whether there can be a ECOWAS-wide plan. We could be able to push through these things.
The Ghana Shippers Authority Act was also passed, granting the authority regulatory powers over shipping services in Ghana.
Let me put it this way. Our establishment law, NRCD 254, after that there was LI 1347, and then another LI in 2012, LI 2190. We have put all these laws together into one, and then given a bit more sanctions regime for the law. So that is what has happened. Not much has changed in terms of our processes, our procedure, our role. You see that we're doing some of the things already, yet we were not able to get to the end of it to make determinations that will be obeyed by people, by players. So three things will happen this time around. The charges, illegitimate charges, now the authority has been given the powers to deal with it conclusively. So the Ghana Shippers Authority now has to approve charges. So if charges have not been justified, we have not gone through discussions, it is not something that we all accept as an industry, it's not an international best practice, and we are afraid that charge cannot stand anymore.
The Deputy Chief Executive Officer in charge of operations at the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority, Prince Opukwe-Dusay, during the 25-year anniversary of the organization, revealed that plans are underway to launch an initiative that will track the movement of vehicles that transport cargo from the ports into the hinterlands to support existing government efforts.
There's already a project that we are going to roll out very soon, where trackers are going to be placed on some of these heavy goods carrying vehicles to ensure that when they leave the ports, where they claim to be their final destination is exactly where they are headed.
Towards the end of September, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders GIF, the Association of Customs House Agents of Ghana, Freight Forwarders Association of Ghana, and the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, in collaboration with several trade associations and concerned stakeholders, partook in a peaceful demonstration for what they termed as the exploitative practices by shipping lines operating within the country. The conversation was further debated on Iron Port's live interactive session.
Yes, so it's not about any contract. A contract spells out everything in clear terms. The price that I will take for maybe clearing charges, for empty container, for cleaning and all that, and it will be well spelled out, the price that you will pay. But where the price is not categorically stated, and that you use your own authority, and even with different shipping lines, everybody has its charges, even the rate that the Bank of Ghana give, you do not even abide by it. What kind of contract is that? It means that you are taking undue advantage over us. And we have stated that even as part of this contract that he is talking about, embedded in the freight charge, they should include it. And then we pay it upfront. When we tell them, they are afraid to do that because they know that when one shipping line charge is higher over the other, people will shop and get a cheaper one. And so they all come and say that, no, we have to do the local administrative charges aside of the... So clearly, they are doing everything to surcharge the good people of Ghana, and that's why prices of goods and services have gone up.
Admittedly, there will be challenges in maybe the clearance system and even documentation with the trader, and that is why sometimes these extended periods are negotiated right from day one. That is why I'm saying everything is right from day one. It's imperative for the shippers, you know, they signed the agreement. It's imperative for them to maybe share with Mr. Obin, this is what I've committed you to. You understand? So that if Mr. Obin then has that strength that, this is what, okay, maybe I don't have to then bother myself, or no, this is what but the shipping line is ripping me off. Then Mr. Obin is coming to the shipping line to say that, listen, this is agreement that my shipper has committed me to, and I'm part of the merchant, the whole merchant description, because now I have title to the cargo. But why are you charging me this? And this is an issue of discussion, proving whatever is written and taking it out.
October saw the Terminal 3 at the port of Tema expand its yard capacity by 120,000 square meters, with plans to further increase it next year.
It means that we can handle more containers, we can handle more capacity, we can become actually the regional hub or compete to become the regional hub, because there is other ports competing, and we are competing with our neighbors directly, as well as strategic points like Tangier, Algeciras in Europe, as well as in Africa, for the same traffic. And we need that success, you know, in construction to be fast enough to meet the demand.
2021 happens to be our best year in terms of container volumes, and we hit over 1.5 million TEUs. But this year, up to September, we have already hit over 1.2 million TEUs. And so we know that there's that growth spurt that we've seen. And once there's that growth, you need that space to be able to accommodate the volumes, the container volumes coming. And yes, our vision is to become the best in West Africa, and we are seeing that now. We are moving towards that vision, and I'm sure that very soon we'll even surpass that vision that we set for ourselves.
Meanwhile, the Spanish Armada returned to Ghana aboard the BAM Metero, a modern maritime action ship supporting the fight against piracy and illegal fishing in the Gulf of Guinea. In November, Ghana's transport sector witnessed progress with the commissioning of the Tema-Mpakadan railway line, enhancing multimodal transport systems. In Takoradi, the president commissioned the 550-meter oil and gas services terminal at the port. The facility includes a 550-meter quay wall, a 10-meter draft for dredge berth pockets, and 1.9 kilometers of access roads equipped with storm drainage systems. Additionally, it offers a 200,000 square meter service land area designed for oil field operators, logistics service providers, operations officers, workshops, and storage facilities. The Ghana Shippers Authority also celebrated its 50th anniversary, reflecting on its contributions to the shipping and logistics industry over the decades. The year ended on a high note in December, with multiple cruise vessel calls highlighting Ghana's growing potential as a cruise tourism destination.
All right, welcome back. So those were highlights of happenings or major events in the port and shipping industry in the year 2024, woven together in a chronological and sequential manner by the Iron Port team for your enjoyment this evening. We are now zooming into our second discussion for tonight. And like I said in my intro, this year I've had several discussions with regard to the fisheries sector. And all is aimed at finding solutions to the myriad of challenges that has bedeviled the sector. Tonight, once again, we are privileged to have in the studios Mr. Rishtani Amafio, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Blue Economy and Governance Consult here in Ghana. He's no stranger to the show. He's been here on several occasions, and it's always a delight to have him. Good evening, sir, and welcome once again to Iron Port.
Good evening, boss. I'm just the Executive Director.
He's Executive Director, yes, Blue Economy and Governance Consult, absolutely. We are grateful to have you tonight, to wrap the year with us, wrap up the year with us.
I'm happy to be the last person to come into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so first of all, I would just want you to give us an overview, your perception or your opinion about the industry, how we performed this year, 2024.
Well, the fishing industry has had its own challenge. Let me start from, we have various sectors in the subsectors. We have the tuna, the industrial trawl, comprising the industrial sector. We have the inshore, the artisanal, comprising the what we call the artisanal marine.
Yes.
And then we have the inland.
Yes.
As usual, because we've not managed our marine environment very well, catches for the other sectors were quite low. And so you have fishermen complaining about their landings and all of that.
Right.
We also have challenges also with issues of premix.
Right.
However, there were some positive policies that came up. The tuna sector still having the challenges, especially with the pole and line sector collapsing. I'm sure we are going...
Pole and line?
Yes, we keep talking about the tuna pole and line
yes.
or the bait boat sector.
Yes.
We are going to 2025 with probably just about 3 pole and line out of the 20 registered pole and line vessels that will be active.
Before you continue, can you tell us what we mean when we say pole and line?
Well, tuna pole and line, tuna fishing industrial vessels that use hook and line to fish.
Okay.
The other one uses net, so we call those ones pessiness.
Right.
So the pole and line use hook and line.
Right.
And because they use hook and line, they require a larger number of crew.
Right.
And so their labor cost is a bit high. And so if they don't get enough catch, they are running at a loss.
Loss, absolutely.
Since the cost of operation is going very high, their operations are running to a halt. And almost all of them are out of business. So we have 20 registered pole and line.
And you say we barely have like 3 at the moment.
We are going into 2020 with just about 3 of them.
2025?
It's 2025 with just about 3 of them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The inland sector, I happen to have a fair idea of what's happening everywhere in the sector because I'm the vice president also of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana.
Yes, yes.
So the inland sector have one major challenge they have has to do with market because they have to bring their fish, these Kosomo fish, as we call them, to Accra. And when they come to Accra, they have challenge with market space.
Right.
And then they also have a lot of challenges with premise fuel issues. And so these are some of the challenges that are coming. But the major challenge we had in the sector had to do with galamsey. Because galamsey is having a rippling impact on our water bodies.
Right.
And fish only survive in water. So we need to deal decisively with the galamsey issue.
Right.
Otherwise, our inland sector is going to go down completely. Probably except for the Akosombo that we are protecting. Even that, there are traces of galamsey activities seeping down the Akosombo. So we need to deal with the galamsey issue.
Right.
If you go towards
Axim and those areas, you realize that because of the Ankobra and the Pra,
yes,
even the coastal area is now turning brown.
Right.
And we need to deal decisively with it. It's a major issue. I heard somebody talking about the mangroves.
Yes.
They are so crucial for the marine ecosystem.
Yes, I'll bet they refer to here.
Yeah,
he was talking about.
The rate at which we are losing our mangrove cover is also a major challenge that we want to deal with. Because one of the issues the next government want to deal with is coastal fisheries.
Right.
And if you want to develop coastal fisheries, you will need to have your mangroves very active and alive. So these are a few of the many challenges that, by the cost of operation, because of the dollar rate, has become a major problem.
Because of the dollar rate?
Yeah. And we are paying a lot of taxes for our ship stores, which we call the spare parts. And in other jurisdictions, they don't pay taxes for their ship stores. We do, and that is also part of the cost. So we transfer most of the cost to the consumer.
Yes.
Fish prices are quite expensive on the market.
Right. Okay, so we happen to have gone into elections, and Ghanaians have spoken. There is a new government coming into place on the 7th of January. The NPP government, by President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, established the Fisheries and Aquaculture Development Ministry. And I don't know whether you have picked signals or information to the effect that that ministry is likely to go in the event, as the new government comes into this. You are well grounded in this particular sector. What have you picked on the ground?
I'm just a very ordinary fisherman. Well, these have to do with nomenclature. There may not be a Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development specifically, but it doesn't mean that there won't be a ministry with oversight responsibility for the fisheries sector.
Okay.
Because the name of the ministry is just a nomenclature.
Right.
What is important is the policy. I told somebody that if I have my own way, I probably may have placed Ministry of Fisheries or Fisheries sector under the Ministry of Natural Resources. Because fisheries, in the first place, is a natural resource.
Under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Or separate,
or probably
natural resources.
Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources. Rather than agriculture.
Okay.
Because the fishery sector is a natural resource activity. Fish only becomes food when it ends up on my table.
Yes.
So management of fish itself, or governance of fish itself, had to be done with natural resource background in your mind, because the law establishing the Fisheries Commission, which is Act 625, takes its root from the Constitution, which establishes natural resource commissions.
Right.
So the Fisheries Commission is a natural resource commission.
Absolutely.
So it means that governance of fisheries should be more of a natural resource governance than food governance.
Right.
If we have that at the back of our mind, then when it comes to managing the resource, we will do so looking at it as first a self-replenishing natural resource, which is also extinguishable.
Right.
So it can replenish itself, but if you don't manage it well, it will get extinct.
Right.
So you need to create the right environment for the fisheries to replenish themselves. Probably that was what informed the decision for us to start thinking about close season.
Right.
But like I keep saying, you need to do it right to get the right responses. So close season had become a bit of a challenge now. For instance, they said when we do a closure, our fish are going to come back. But when doing close season, the fishes are not coming back. Because you need a mix of management measures, not just a close season, to be able to get it right.
Right.
So a new government probably may have to first do two things. Have a proper fishery stakeholder engagement and talk all the science, talk all the politics, and talk all the social elements.
Right.
Because you need the science to rebuild your fishery. You need the politics to set your policy right.
Right.
And you need a social element to get the human beings in there to understand what the science is saying and why the policy.
Right.
So you need to now have a broader stakeholders engagement and let all the stakeholders understand that we are in crisis. Our fisheries are getting out completely. Our fisheries environment is a mess, and there is no science to support it.
Right.
Probably you were with us in Rhode Island.
Yes.
You saw the fisheries lab when we went to the East Campus.
Absolutely.
You need a fisheries lab. You need students to do research with fishermen to clearly understand what is happening.
Yeah.
We need new innovations that takes us into other fisheries. For instance, we need to begin to redevelop our shellfish industry and make them relevant.
Yeah.
So you need a science to guide us. You need to rebuild our crustacean sector, the crabs and the lobsters and the shrimps. We need to redevelop them. You need, and we saw some of them in the lab.
Yes.
There are some fish species that have high export value, but we do not value them so much.
Right.
We need to begin to have a science that will help us now probably have some fish farms.
Right.
And looking around from Mahiam area towards the Keta area, we could conveniently have some fish farm.
Yeah.
We need to look at our tuna industry again. We saw the tuna lab,
Yeah.
even though we were not able to enter, previously had entered to see what is in there. To begin to see how we will do some of these things in the lab.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying, that you don't really need a fisheries ministry to do it. You need a ministry that understands the policy and gets the policy
Absolutely.
right. And so once the ministry gets the policy right, then you have a fisheries commission that now implements the policy. Because what the constitution established is the fisheries commission.
Yes.
So you now need a fisheries commission that now takes the policy to get things done. Question had come as to, so how do you get the money? I have spoken with a few donor people who are also worried about the fact that the fisheries ministry is going because they have had a number of engagements with
them,
with the fisheries ministry.
They started some programs, some projects also.
And I had told them that if I have my own way, probably government would need to do a donor conference and begin to realign their support towards government's own objective of rebuilding the fisheries sector.
Yes.
Because, you see, most of donor funding had gone to civil society groupings or come in the form of technical support. So the donors pay the support to their own people, and they say they provide technical support. And sometimes they take some of our directors and regulators to their countries to give them some capacity.
Yes.
But that capacity doesn't go to the ordinary fisherman.
Right.
So you now need to realign the donor support to government's objective. So you need to probably have a donor conference and discuss with the donors that this is how we want to go. We want to rebuild our fisheries sector. We want to make science the base for the sector.
Yes.
And it's not a type of science where we go to the beaches and take dead fish.
Yes.
But a type of science that is lab-based and that also get the scientists to be on the fishing vessel to understand exactly what is happening at sea. The type of science that also comes with a research vessel to allow for regular towing with a research vessel. To be clear, what is it that we have and what is it that we do not have? We need a kind of science that also research into tastes of the consumer and try to vary the taste of the consumer in order that we don't over-rely on fish that are struggling to fish that we may be able to produce in abundance so that we could save the fish that are struggling. Because sometimes you need to change the taste of the consumer in order to save your fishery.
Right.
There was a time nobody cared about tilapia. I got to a point, everybody was taking tilapia.
Exactly.
And then you got to a point, you realize that people were going for catfish.
Catfish, yeah.
It means that the consumer's taste had changed. Something triggered it. So we now need, that's why you need the social enterprise.
So whilst the focus is on catfish now, the tilapia will have the opportunity to,
yes. So you now
replenish.
Yeah. So that is where the food bit comes up. That, okay, so this becomes the food.
Right.
So this has the ability to survive. So whilst we're doing that, then you'll be redeveloping what you are losing and bringing them back.
Right.
You need that kind of science. You need a science that helps you to now begin to have mariculture and begin to grow fish. Because when you go to Norway, they grow a lot of fish. Yes,
right.
they have a lot of what we call sheltered bay. We don't have sheltered bay.
Yes.
But like I said, we have a fairly good environment that we could be able to explore and begin to do some mariculture.
Yes.
We need to focus a bit more on coastal fishery and grow our shellfish industry.
Right.
But the shellfish has high value. And so we need to begin to grow the shellfish industry.
Right.
And focus on the export market with the shellfish industry. And these are the kind of things you need policy to drive. We need to get the Admirable Fisheries College running and training fishermen in selective gear to understand the environment. So beyond the core academic program that you run and the issues of maritime safety and all of that, you need to run short courses for fishermen, whether literate or illiterate, to begin to appreciate why they may not need to use net A, but use net B. But ultimately, what is the result? The result is that the fisherman wants to break even.
Absolutely.
So if he comes and he dries his anchovy on the ground, and so he's only able to sell it for little, and now you bring in a solar dryer, so he's able to dry it and do vacuum packing and package it nicely and can export it. He doesn't need to bring all the anchovy in the ocean to come and dry on the ground.
Yeah.
Because the little he will bring will give him the value.
Right.
That is where policy need to drive at when it comes to post-harvest activities.
Okay.
That you have a post-harvest regime that brings value to the fishery. When we're in Rhode Island, you also realize that the fisherman doesn't sell the fish.
No.
He brings the fish, and there is an auction system that markets the fish. So he always has very good value for it.
Yes, and the market is there ready.
And the market is available. So you need to create that market. That makes it possible for the fisherman to have some value.
Yeah.
So you take him out of poverty. But once you do that, you also need a policy that allows you now to ensure that you reduce the numbers that are entering the industry.
Yeah.
So you create an educational opportunity for those who are able, and I always say, take it 14 years and below, who are in the industry.
Yeah.
You give them special education, 15 years to 20 years. You give them some special education also, either non-formal or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when they begin to pick up, you either put them through trade, apprenticeship, or they go through the formal system.
Right.
And then once they have some education and some other skills, a number of them may not return. Because you see, this government has placed a ban on new canoes.
Right.
But if you place a ban on new canoes, yet the children of fishermen are coming back into the industry, they certainly will need canoe.
Absolutely.
So you make wood very expensive because people will want to use illegal means to bring canoes.
Yes.
But when you want to place a ban on canoe, you need to create that alternative of reducing the numbers that are going into the industry. So you need a policy that does that.
Right.
You need a policy that takes aged people out of the industry. So within your premise regime, you can create an insurance policy that is able to now take care of the aged.
Right.
So they don't have to come to beg at the beach. To do that, you need to have a data.
Right.
Of all these people. So you know that from 60 or 65, you give them a stipend like we do with LEAP. So that they don't have to come back to the beach all the time to beg, because at the end of the month, you paid something to their mumu to sustain them. And all of this, you don't need a specific fisheries ministry to do.
Right.
You only need a policy that drives it.
So what you're talking about, I remember initially you made mention of the fact that if even there's going to be a ministry, that should be the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources.
I'm saying that, well, that is the president's discretion.
Prerogative, yes.
So but what I'm saying, fisheries had always gone with natural resources. In our part of the world, it's gone with food and agriculture because of the food aspect of it.
Absolutely.
But its management, in the true sense of the word, should be a natural resource agenda.
Okay.
So even if it's with food and agriculture, the policy that drives the fishery sector should be a natural resource policy and not just a food and agriculture policy.
Yes.
You see, when it comes to aquaculture, that is deliberate cultivation of fish. And so that is an agriculture activity.
Yes.
But when it comes to harvesting fish in the wild, the fish are in their natural environment. So that's a natural. So there are two parts to it. There's the agriculture part of it, which is aquaculture or mariculture, as I was talking about.
Yes.
And there is also the natural resource part of it, where you need to manage the fishery in the wild. And with that, you need to manage the natural environment properly.
Yes.
Even with the aquaculture and mariculture, you still need to manage the natural environment properly. Because you see, you cannot manage the fishery in Galamsey polluted water.
Absolutely, you can't.
So these are some of the dynamics that you need to look at. And that's why I am of the opinion that you don't necessarily need to have a fisheries ministry. You need to have the policy right, and the people who are driving the policy to have that clear understanding of how they are managing the
Now, the fears we are talking about that have been expressed by people that are players in this particular industry, to which you advocated or prescribed a donor conference. I'm pretty certain that some of these policies or projects that they have initiated has something to do with the fishing communities, coastal towns, or across Ghana and all that. The impact, if these projects are scrapped or if they cease, will be devastating. At what point do you think that we should begin to have these, donor conferences to ameliorate and assuage the fears of these people?
I'm not sure that there will be a deliberate policy to cut whatever donor initiative can. But there must certainly be a realignment of donor programs to the vision of the new government.
Right.
Because this government is coming in with this program. So, I'm sure as soon as there is a minister responsible for fisheries, and there's a fisheries commission in place, there must be engagement to have.
Will there be one in the new administration that's taking place?
There will definitely be a minister responsible for fisheries.
Fisheries, okay.
As to what the ministry would be,
I
am not in a position to say.
Okay.
But there will definitely be a minister responsible for fisheries. And then there will be a fisheries commission.
Right.
Not that there is a fisheries commission, just that there will be a new board of the commission.
Right.
But the fisheries commission is in place. It's an institution.
Absolutely.
So there will be a new board that gives direction to the commission.
Okay.
But there will be a minister. The minister may have other responsibilities, but it definitely would include responsibility for fisheries.
Right.
So when there is a minister and there is a fisheries commission in place, board in place, then there should be discussions with the donor at individual level, and probably a conference that now looks at, okay, so what do you all have, and look at the program that the new government have, and then you realign. To see how government program, because government policy is to reset. So if government is resetting, then of course a number of the donor projects may have to now come back and align.
Right.
And we need to be able to do those reconciliations and get the donor program aligned.
seamlessly. All right, so what you are calling for primarily is a shift in policy, or focus in policy. Yeah. That is very effective and implementable, and that can bring about some results. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go for a break, and when we return from the break, it looks like in Ghana we are much more fixated on the various species of fishes that we have. You mentioned lobsters, you mentioned the crabs, you mentioned the shrimps and all that. I don't know whether we don't prioritize, harvesting those and growing those, so to speak, but, really always focus on, the tilapias and the catfishes and all those ones, when these ones are also exportable, commodities that can fetch the nation some good amount of money. So this is our import here on Metro TV, and we are wrapping up the year with Mr. Richard Matthew, who is the Executive Director of the Blue Economy and Governance Consult. We will go for a break. When we come back, we are continuing with the discussion, which will activate the phone line for you to also call in and contribute to the discussion. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefi. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix,
you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. Remember, this is Iron Port here on Metro TV and the last edition for the year 2024. And tonight, we brought you some highlights of happenings in the port and shipping industry for 2024. We brought it in a sequential and chronological manner. And now we're having the second phase of our discussion in which we are discussing the fishery sector with Mr. Rich Tani and Matthew. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. And the number to dial will show on your screen. It's 0245834980. That's right on your screen, 0245834980. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Yes, Mr. Matthew, I said when we return from the break, I was going to ask you why we seem so much fixated, on the various fisheries, species of fish, rather than the lobsters that you mentioned, what do you call it? The shrimps,
the prawns,
yeah, exactly.
No, you see, we need to. These are
the crabs and all that.
Normally when you say you are going to eat seafood, then you go for lobsters,
yes,
cuttlefish, the shrimps.
Yes,
they are high valued.
Yes,
normally above the pockets of
the ordinary. Yeah, sure. Yes.
But when we need to have those high valued fish also for the spot market.
Yes.
For the supermarkets.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, we need to be able to also differentiate between freshwater fish like tilapia, catfish,
right,
from marine fishes where you have red snappers and the sardinellas, the mackerels. You have the karangis and all of that. These are...
Okay, I understand we have a caller on the line. Let's go for... Hello? Hello, good evening. Good evening. Okay, I understand we've lost the caller. Yes, please.
Yes, so these are different, and I was just talking about the shellfish. When you see a lot of clams when you go to the Volta region and
yes.
the area.
Yes.
Whilst we were in Rhode Island,
yes.
saw the way they were treating the clams.
Absolutely.
And the
yes.
value they have.
Yes.
Compared to the value it has when the women are selling them on the street.
Yes.
So what we need to do is look also at the value addition. That's where I said the food aspect comes up.
Yes.
The post-harvest activities.
Yes.
How do you? They are, for example, clams are filter eaters, and so they may take in a lot of sand if you don't manage the quality of the water very well.
Absolutely.
So you go and buy them and you have a lot of sand.
Sand in them, yeah, sure.
These are all part of the post-harvest because if they have sand, then you can't have the same value as to when they are very clean.
Absolutely.
When you dry your anchovies on the ground and they have sand, you may not have the same value. So then they go cheap. Ghana is high fish consuming nation.
Yes.
Between 23 and 27 kilograms per capita.
Right.
That is way above Africa's average of around 11 and global average of around 4.
Right. So it means we are heavily dependent on fish.
Yes. So but you see, that is the situation. But when you go to the homes, it is the father that consumes all the fish, not the children.
Yeah.
So we need to begin to do a lot of sensitization as to what we need to do with our fishery and manage the consumption.
Right.
We have a comparative advantage in tuna production.
Right.
But tuna is not as much in our diet, and we export most of the tuna.
Okay. Yes, tuna. We'll come back and you continue from there. But I understand we have a caller. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Awesome. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I want to take this opportunity to wish all Ghanaians and persons in the diaspora Merry Christmas. And then wish you and then your cherished panelists and all persons of Metro TV.
Thank you, sir.
I think the issue under discussion is very vital, paramount, and something that should be given much attention. We have a government who, per its own arrangement, has brought a close season. I am from the coastal area.
Right.
And growing up, we've known our fathers, grandfathers. By nature, they've been able to know when and where not to go to fishing.
Yeah.
But by government's own, I don't know whether it's by science or I don't know whatever came into being, where those ideas were bring to bear. But I think that things should be looked at. Things should be looked at.
Right.
Today, I listened very well to Rista, and I know he's making a fantastic submission.
Right.
For me, I would humbly plead with this coming government, if possible, Niama Amafio should be included in issues pertaining to our fishing industry.
Absolutely.
The NDC government shouldn't just waste such a talent, because sometimes by partisanship we try to leave people who can be a blessing to us.
Right.
And I know it works.
Absolutely.
In Tema's constituency, he has fought for the people of Tema. When people stood on their grounds to take certain things from the fisher folks.
Right.
So I know what they can do.
Okay.
So I plead to this government not to allow this gentleman go. He has really done well for the people of Tema.
I agree. Right. Thank you very much indeed, Nia Ajeti, who is calling us from Accra. He's actually campaigning for Mr. Niama Mafio to be given some kind of role in the new administration in this particular sector. And I honestly agree with him. I don't know when he's calling. He says he's calling from, he's calling from Accra. And I agree with whatever. I mean, you are Colossus. You are Colossus when it comes to the industry.
By the recognition.
Absolutely,
yeah. We elected the president, and we need to give the president the free hand to
do his appoint his people and those that he wants to work. Absolutely.
You know my position on issues. You don't need a position to be able to make any impact.
Absolutely.
And so, if you are called upon to serve, so be it. But
yes.
Then I believe that the role I played in industry.
Yeah.
Still gives me the opportunity to be able to shape policy.
Absolutely.
As a vice president of the National Fisheries Association of Ghana, I still, and as an industry player, I still have a voice.
Absolutely.
In what happens within the fisheries.
I agree.
Coming on your program, I'm quite regular on your
Absolutely,
program. Gives me the opportunity to also help shape policy.
Right. Absolutely.
So I'm not too keen on
joining the government.
I am more interested in getting our issues across. You could be in the position and still not be able to influence.
To be effective, absolutely.
But you could be out there and be very effective.
Absolutely.
And to me, I feel that I'm passionate about the industry.
Right.
We need to get things done.
Right.
That's where my livelihood is.
Yeah, absolutely.
For all this while, that's what keeps me and my family going.
Absolutely.
And I would always push that the right policies are
put in place
to ensure that the industry doesn't collapse.
Absolutely.
That's
awesome. Right, so I think that we are wrapping up with this last text message. It says it's from Kwamina in Cape Coast. Without the ministry, who will handle issues like illegal fishing and protecting our fish stocks? And Agbe in Keta says, if they dissolve the ministry, what happens to the support systems for our fishermen? Okay, so we'll provide some solutions for you, responses on the during the abridged version on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Ghana Television. Make a date and watch that. We'd like to say a big thanks to you, Mr. Richard Niama Matthew, Vice President, National Fisheries Association of Ghana, and indeed Executive Director, Blue Economy and Governance Consult, who has always been a regular here on this show. We thank you so much for the invaluable contribution you bring to Iron Port.
Yeah, a lot of it. Thanks, guys. You know, you've always been a brother.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. And to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority.
People will think we deliberately decided to wear brown.
You see, to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, Guel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance, we say a big thanks to you. And remember, Iron Port is proudly powered by the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority. We entreat you to keep watching the rest of the programs here on Metro TV. And God willing, next week and next year, so to speak, we shall bring you another wonderful edition of your favorite Iron Port program. The name is Kennedy Mona. We thank you so much for being a part of this journey for the whole of 2024. It's been a wonderful time, always having you around and always having you watching us. We shall see you again some other time. We wish you all the best and we wish you a super week ahead. God bless, no less. Enjoy the rest of our programs. We are off.